Hey, welcome back. Today, we're diving into a huge question. How does a company make the massive, world-changing decision to go global? I mean, this is a move that can make or break a company, but it is loaded with risk. So how on earth do they get it right? The answer to this whole thing, it might actually be sitting right in your hand. Just look at your phone, or your car, or even your favorite can of soda. Why are these things products of the entire world? Why would you design something in, say, California, get parts from South Korea, and then put it all together in China? And here's why that matters. The decision to expand abroad, to become a real multinational powerhouse, is one of the biggest, riskiest bets a company can make. If you get it right, you can take over the world. But if you get it wrong, you could sink the entire company. So yeah, this is not a decision you just make on a whim. Okay, so how do leaders possibly navigate this kind of minefield? Well, they don't just guess. They use a really powerful strategic toolkit. It's technically called the eclectic paradigm, which comes from a scholar named John Dunning, but pretty much everyone knows it by its three letters, OLI. Think of it as the ultimate checklist a company runs through before making that huge leap. So, what is this OLI framework at its core? Well, think of it like a three-part test. It forces a company to get brutally honest and ask itself, first, do we actually have what it takes to win over there? Second, is it really more profitable to produce in another country than just to ship our stuff? And third, should we do it all ourselves or maybe team up with someone? It just breaks this monster decision into three chunks you can actually wrap your head around. All right, so let's break this down. We're going to unlock each one of these keys, the O, the L, and the I. And trust me, once you get these, you'll basically understand the DNA of almost every major global company out there today. Okay, first up, O. And O is for ownership. Okay, so ownership advantages. This is basically the company's secret sauce. It's all the unique stuff, the things that are hard to copy, that a company owns. We're talking about a brand name everyone recognizes, a patent for some game-changing tech, or maybe a super efficient way of making things that no one else has figured out. It's the answer to the big question, what do we have that the local guys in this new country don't? Think about Coca-Cola. It's the perfect example of this. They can show up in pretty much any country on the planet, and people already know who they are. That brand is a massive ownership advantage that took billions of dollars and decades to build. It gives them a huge head start right out of the gate. Okay, so you've got your secret sauce. Now for the second key, L. And L stands for location. So even if you've got the best brand in the world, you still have to figure out where to go. And that's where location advantages come in. It's all about what a specific country offers that you just can't get back home. Maybe it's access to cheaper raw materials, lower wages for your workers, a clever way to get around some painful taxes or tariffs, or maybe it's just being right next door to millions of new customers. A great case study for this is Ford when they went into India. They saw this huge growing market for cars for sure, but they also saw a chance to make those cars way more cheaply by using local resources and tapping into a more affordable labor market. That is a classic location-driven move. All right, that brings us to the final piece of this puzzle, the I. And I is for internalization. Now, this one might sound a little academic, but it boils down to a really simple question. Do we make it ourselves or do we buy it from someone else? In other words, is it better to build our own factory and run our own show abroad to internalize everything, or is it easier to just license our tech to a local company and let them handle it? A lot of the time, the answer comes down to one word: control. Just think about a pharmaceutical company. For them, their research, their patents, that's everything. There is no way they're just going to license that out to some other company. The risk of someone stealing their formula is just way too high. So by building their own labs and their own factories, they internalize the whole process. It keeps their secrets safe and lets them have total control over quality. But here's the thing. Here's the twist. The OLI framework was designed back when the world was dominated by giants from the US, Europe, and Japan. But today, the world isn't the same. The whole game has changed. We've got this new wave of powerful companies coming out of emerging economies like China, India, and Brazil, and they are totally rewriting the rulebook. And their entire mindset is different. A couple of researchers, Lowe and Tung, they nailed it when they said these companies use going global as a springboard. See, instead of going abroad to exploit the advantages they already have, they're expanding to get the advantages they don't have yet, like famous brand names or advanced technology. And when you put them side by side, the difference is just, wow, it's stark. The traditional guys expanded slowly, carefully, using their existing strengths to find new customers. But these new players, these emerging market multinationals, they're often making huge, aggressive moves, buying up other companies. They're not just looking for customers, they're hunting for the assets they need to become global players themselves. So, what does this all mean? We've got this classic, careful model and this new, aggressive approach. How do they fit together? Well, it just goes to show that while those fundamental questions of O, L, and I are still the right ones to ask, the ways companies are answering them are changing fast. Let's look at that traditional path, sometimes called the Uppsala model. And honestly, Toyota's journey into Europe is the perfect story here. A classic OLI analysis would have told them they had huge ownership advantages in how they built cars, but they really needed to learn about the location, about Europe. So they didn't just dive in, they started way back in 1963 just exporting a few cars to test the waters. It was only after decades of learning that they finally committed to building factories there. It was a slow, careful, step-by-step process. So, whether you're Toyota taking it slow or one of these new players making a huge leap, the journey always starts in the same place, doing your homework. A ton of it. You have to analyze the market, check out the competition, and really understand the local government's rules. Okay, once the homework is done, the next set of choices ties right back to our OLI framework. The how. Do we export? Do we franchise? Do we build? That's the internalization question. And the where. Well, that's all about finding those key location advantages, whether it's raw materials or a great workforce. And that final decision, the big leap to becoming a true multinational enterprise, well, that only happens when all those pieces click into place. When a company's unique ownership advantage can be unlocked by the right location and the benefits of internalizing it all are crystal clear. That's when you go for it. So here's the bottom line. The OLI framework is still an absolutely essential compass for any company trying to find its way in the global economy. It's still asking all the right, timeless questions. But in a world that's moving this fast, with all these new players, you have to be recalibrating that compass constantly. And that really leaves us with one big question for the future. We've seen how owning brands and technology made the giants of the last century. But what's next? What new ownership advantages are going to define the global giants of this century? Is it going to be who controls the most data, who has the smartest AI, or is it something else entirely, something we haven't even thought of yet? That's the question the next generation of global companies will have to answer.